There's Elizabeth. What is up, my imagination connoisseurs? Here I am once again, Robert Meyer Burnett, coming at you from my little makeshift home studio on this Sunday afternoon.
The Imaginarium Phase 1.
The Imaginarium Phase, the Imaginarium Phase 1, I should say. I don't have a, I should have a thing. Technically, this is not going to be the greatest in the world, but I have a very special guest for this, my 5th live chat, I think. I have the great Dave Parker.
Hey, everyone.
Dave Parker, he and I have known each other for 25 years. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We worked at Full Moon together. We met at USC in the early 90s. Dave directed recently Tales from Halloween, which segment?
Sweet Tooth, it's the anthology that Epic Pictures put out. It's on Netflix now.
You can see it on Netflix right now.
And it's also out on Blu-ray and everything else. Yeah, so it's 10 short stories, 10 segments, and 11 different directors. And the one that I did, Sweet Tooth, was the first one to play.
I got bedhead, I think.
Whew.
Yeah, what can I do? So, and he was, of course, Dave played himself in the movie I directed, wrote and directed Free Enterprise. That's going to celebrate its 20th anniversary in June of 2019.
But I do talk.
He does talk.
Actually, in real life.
It's true, in real life.
I don't know why you wanted to make me mute.
Because we were ripping off Kevin Smith. You're like the Jay and Silent Bob. You're like the Silent Bob
and Dan Schweiger is Jay.
Oh yeah, maybe that was a mistake. I don't know. So Dave also directed a horror film that I produced called The Hills Run Red that I made through my company Ludovico Technique, and then we made it with Warner Brothers, and Joel Silver.
Cover kind of looks like that.
Was our executive producer. The cover does kind of looks exactly like that. And I figured I'd have Dave on this live chat, this sort of makeshift live chat, to discuss our careers.
Yeah.
And horror.
Our friendship, our love for horror, and the things that, you get to talk about toys and movies and science fiction and comic book stuff and superheroes and everything, but you don't get to talk horror that much on the shows that you're doing. So
no, that
was part of the reason why. And it was just sort of like, hey, why don't we try to do that?
And I'm a fanatical horror fan, as you know, and we don't get to talk much about, I don't get to talk much about horror. No one ever invited me on to Collider Nightmares when it was going on.
Me either. They should have.
We've actually made a horror movie.
Yeah.
Together.
And worked on multiple horror movies. So your first horror movie was, do people know that? Do they know that your first job on set was for Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3?
I was like, where are you going with it? Yes. For those who don't know, in 1989, my first job in the motion picture industry I was the art department production assistant on Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Now that was not the one with Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger, even though people ask.
Yeah, no, that one was with Billy Butler and Kate Hodge and Viggo Mortensen.
And Ken Foray.
The
great Ken Foray from Dawn of the Dead. That was my first job. Now, what was your first job in the industry?
First job in the industry was working for that director, Jeff Burr, on his film right after he did Leatherface a couple years later, called Eddie Presley.
Oh, that's right.
Which was about a homeless Elvis impersonator living in Hollywood and trying to go after his dreams and getting a gig and having a complete mental breakdown on stage. Right? It's such a weird, quirky drama, but it's filled with a lot of fringe actors and characters, from that time. So I was the props assistant. That's what my first job in town.
Now, did you get a screen credit?
I did. I
got a screen credit as the art department production assistant. And here's a funny thing I'll tell you guys. A lot of people go, why do you use your middle name? Robbie, why do you use Robert Meyer Burnett?
Because you didn't produce.
I did not produce The Late Show with David Letterman. There was a Rob Burnett who ran David Letterman's company, Worldwide Pants. And when you start getting credits on things, you get bumped back. So there's no confusion. You've got to that's why there's Paul P.T. Anderson
and Paul W.S. Anderson.
Paul W.S. Anderson. You've got to figure out a way to differentiate yourself. These are the things that happen to you in the entertainment business. So we both got screen credits on our first movies.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
I had a blast on that thing. Except there was a scene involving cockroaches, and I became the de facto bug wrangler.
Oh,
and they almost. I hate bugs. I'm really not into especially cockroaches and stuff like that. So they almost started rolling film, watching me dip my hand in to get a cockroach out for the scene. It was horrible. And then later on, we get done with the scene. It's fine. And they came in like this little plastic terrarium thing. And you have to order them by like 100. They won't sell you like 5. Right. So I went outside, set the thing out by one of the flats. Someone knocked it over, and they went everywhere into the city.
Oh.
It was like, oh,
well,
no.
Okay, now let me ask you something. You didn't grow up in LA.
No, I grew up in Vermont.
Now, you didn't have any ties to the film business.
No one in my extended family has ever done anything in television or film. Yeah, for the most part, I didn't either. How did you get your first job? How did you get on to Eddie Presley? What was funny, I came out here right after high school, and I went to USC. And when I was at USC, I joined the special effects club that I remember that my friend Paul Salamoff was in, that Wayne Mogilewski was in.
I went to some of those events.
I worked on Wayne's short Stray, and then I started doing events coordinating with that club, and just through going to Fangoria conventions when they were here and everything, I met the guys from KMB. Mm-hmm. I met Dave SCHOW. Mm-hmm.
Dave SCHOW wrote Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, which is how I met him.
And The Crow.
And he wrote The Crow later.
Afterwards, yeah. So I met them, and then I met and became friendly with Chaz Ballin, who used to write for Fangoria. He had his own magazine, Deep Red, which was my favorite magazine because he was sort of like the Hunter S. Thompson of horror journalists, because he just didn't give a fuck.
He was and he was always into the most gonzo gore and all that.
His reviews would be like, blows dead ghoulies farts, in the wind or something. That's how he would feel about a movie. So he would be really colorful and sort of counterculture.
Yeah.
So when I moved out to LA, I called him up and said, "Hey, I moved out here. I'm here," and stuff like that. We just caught up, hung up the phone. 5 minutes later, he goes, "I just remembered. Jeff Burr is doing a movie now. Here's his number. You should give him a call." And I cold called, got Jeff on the phone, and he said,
"Did you tell him Chaz Ballin called you to call him?"
Yep. Yeah. So he agreed to meet with me. He had an office on Hollywood Boulevard. I went down there, and we ended up talking for an hour and a half about stuff, and that was it. And he said, "Yeah, sure." I mean, it was such a low budget movie. He was like, "I'll take anyone," but it was like showing that enthusiasm was a huge important thing.
Wow. Well, that's one of the things I wanted to bring Dave on the show and talk to you guys about sort of how there's a whole group of us that sort of, I say, immigrated. We immigrated to Los Angeles from different places in the late 80s and early 90s with this dream of making movies. That's really what we wanted to do. And we've all kind of found each other, like whether it was at screenings, like you said, whether it was at conventions, and you started seeing people bopping around at the same kind of thing, and you're like, "Hey, weren't you at the Argento Festival?"
Or there'd be revival screenings we would go to. That in Westwood. Yeah. It wasn't the Bruin. I forget the theater, but it used to have,
Regent.
The Regent had midnight shows.
Yes, they did.
And it was like Army of Darkness or Evil Dead 2 or all these like really cool things. Then I would see a lot of the same people go to that.
Yeah. Well, let's take a question.
Oh, wow. There's questions.
Iron Man 109 says, "Hey there, Rob. I just subscribed to you on Patreon the other day. Thank you." There's a lot of controversy going on about Patreon. I don't know if I'm going to stay on it, but I'll keep you guys informed. Thank you for doing so. Now, let's see. ZCMZ Zombie Custom Maps asks, thoughts on the film The Gift with Jason Bateman.
I love it. I thought it was great. It was such a surprise. I didn't know anything about it. And
me neither.
And when I saw, the trailer, you're kind of like, oh, okay. It looks like your sort of standard thriller. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was really, the acting was so great. Bateman is is a really good person to act uncomfortable
Right.
and uneasy. And it's Joel Egerton.
Yeah.
He directed it as well, was so good. And then it's just got a twist that just pulled the rug right from under me. And like right at the end, it was like, wow. And that just made the movie. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I love the Sam Raimi, The Gift as well.
Yeah, I do too. Quinn, you know what? I gotta put I'm so old. Owen Toohey, Tuohy. Hey, Owen, are you related to Angela Toohey from Chehalis, Washington? Anyway, Owen Toohey, what are Dave's favorite movies? What are your favorite movies, Dave?
Of all time?
I don't know. He just says, what are Dave's favorite movies?
Okay. Funny enough, so I'm a horror freak. So I have all my favorite horror movies, which are, a lot of the usual, it's The Exorcist, it's Halloween, it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's Suspiria, The Howling, and The Descent is my favorite horror movie of easily the last 15 years.
What did you think of the remake of Suspiria?
I didn't see it yet.
I didn't either. Are we bad people?
Suspiria was one of those things, again, that I found through VHS when it finally got released, and it just blew me away. I'm going to go see it because Tilda's in it, because Tilda Swinton's in it, and that's enough to get me to see anything.
Now, how did you, I know the answer to this, obviously, but you got to hang out with Tilda Swinton, and you did not just occasionally, but on a huge movie in a different country that we were there together.
Thanks to you. Yeah. Because of you, I went to New Zealand for 6 months and worked on the Chronicles of Narnia, just documenting all the behind the scenes and everything. And the thing that, the thing you don't know about people who go do behind the scenes and travel on movies for months and months and months, their job is the least significant job on a film because you're not actually contributing to making the movie. Right. So a PA is way more respected than you are. And you're also the only one who has to make friends with everyone on the crew, or else you're not going to get any good footage.
Right.
So yeah, that's how I got to meet her. I mean, I was already a fan of her work already, but getting to meet her, I mean, it was like meeting a rock star. Yeah. Just like she's just one of the coolest people on the planet that I've ever met, and one of the greatest actresses.
Yeah, she was really cool. Dave and I have done a lot of special features work together and apart. But Dave and I did, I think the first thing we did was Usual Suspects.
Yeah.
We did the special features on Usual Suspects. We did X-Men 1 and 2,
Superman Returns,
Chronicles of Narnia,
some shoot 'em up, Michael Davis's movie. I worked on some of that.
Yep, we did Shoot 'em Up together, and that's so we had a long working association. I actually worked for you.
You did.
I worked for you at Full Moon.
We both started. It was one of those things where we both
worked at Full Moon Entertainment
with Charlie Band back in the glory days.
Yeah.
When Paramount was funding him, and it was amazing. That was a great time. It's like people like go, oh, Charlie Band, it's like we know the stories about him, but what they don't realize is like how cool and how good it was. It was so inspiring because you would there would be the offices and then there would be the post-production, and in between were these two sound stages that you would walk through, and they'd always be filming something. There'd always be these cool sets and everything else. And then they had like David Allen in his own section. You could go over there. Everything was accessible, and it was just this factory. It was really fun because everyone knew they were always working. Yeah. Well, hey, so we've got a Hills Run Red question. Oh, right on. Chuck Souza asks, he says, rewatched The Hills Run Red last night. Thoughts on the opening scene, inspirations for it? It really sets the tone. For those of you who haven't seen it, it's streaming on Vudu now with ads, but buy it. Nice. It's in HD too on Vudu. Yeah. Because it's never come out on Blu-ray. It's like the only Dark Castle Entertainment movie that's not on Blu-ray. Someone doesn't like us at Warner Brothers. Well, someone who used to be at Warner Brothers. Right. No, she likes us. Oh, okay. Everyone likes us. Everyone likes us. Who wouldn't like us? Come on. The opening of that movie, that was literally just going to be a section of the film when the director, played by William Weiss and Concannon. Wilson Wyler Concannon. It's been a while since I watched it. And he was showing footage to show Tyler, the main guy who's been hunting for the movie, how his offspring became babyface. But when I watched the footage and everything, I was like, well, I think we need like an opener that really just sort of shocks people and lets them know that, okay, we're not playing it safe right from the get-go. So we had all this footage, and I just decided, I said, let's try to do a credit sequence using this footage. So that's where it came about. And obviously some of the inspiration for the shot were the crow putting on makeup and everything else the first time, and the broken mirror and everything else. And I was like, how fucked up would it be? You're seeing a kid cut his face off right at the opening of the movie.
Oh, it was Gilbert. It was monumental.
Dog's going crazy.
Dog's going crazy because he's thinking about the horror of that opening scene. He's thinking about that. But that was a really horrific scene. But that was one of the last things we filmed on the movie. And Itai, the kid, Itai, this kid loved when he had the makeup effects on his face. He loved the fact he wanted to go to school that way. It's in the documentary I made on the movie. He goes, "Yeah, I'm going to go to school like this. Who do you think's going to touch me? And no one's going to get my face."
And now Itai's here.
He is
not in Los Angeles. I think he might be in Massachusetts. He's been going to He's going to film school. Here.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
because he's got to be in his early 20s, I guess, right?
Now, oh my God, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
And our Bulgarian makeup artist Jana Muro did that makeup on him as he was cutting his face off, and she did a great job. It was really great. It was like it really disturbs people, and I'm like, I'm pretty proud of that.
Dark Hawk Mark asks, "How do you guys feel about your special features being dropped on 4K releases?"
It sucks. It fucking sucks. You know how much hard work we put into that?
Yeah.
Hours, weeks, months,
years. In the case of Superman Returns, years, and Lord of the Rings, a long time. It sucks. Why would they drop those features? I don't understand. Even on that's Gilbert the Gilbarian from the planet Gilbar. Even on movies like in for Hills Run Red, I brought my own camera and shot our own documentary. Here I was, the producer of the movie, and I'm running around with a camera shooting behind the scenes. And I make this,
because they wouldn't pay for it.
No, they wouldn't pay for it. I make this half-hour documentary for the Hills Run Red on my own time, on my own dime, and they weren't even going to put it on the disc.
Yeah.
And I finally convinced them, like, oh, okay, they'll put it on the disc, and it's on the DVD. But I finished it in HD. It was the first. Actually, it was the second thing I ever finished in HD. Shoot 'em Up was the first.
Right.
And I wanted it on Blu-ray just to get that documentary in HD.
And we've got so much footage from that movie.
Yeah, I was thinking about, with this channel, Robservations, this show, Robservations, and then with my channel, Burnettwork, a lot of this material that I've generated that I still have, I'm going to start putting it up as content. And I'm going to need to get equipment and things like that, which brings me to, we're to raise money for more shows like this. I do these auctions. I auction stuff off, and if people want to like PayPal me or join Patreon or anything, I enter people's names into a random drawing. And we got a few things.
Yeah,
we got a few things to auction off. I mean, here's a for a donation of $5 to PayPal. Here is the Freddie Weidman's score, brand new, still sealed. Robservations score for the Hills Run Red. If this is something you are interested in, you can see at the top of this video. There's a link to my PayPal. If you want to do that donation of $5, you will be entered into a random drawing to win this soundtrack, and I'll get Freddie to sign it for you, to autograph it for you.
And we'll sign it too.
Yeah, we'll sign it too. And then since you open that up,
and then we got it's a rare.
This is an incredibly rare poster for the Hills Run Red that were created when the film originally came out. You can't get I haven't seen these ever anywhere.
No,
they were video store posters, and Dave and I will both autograph this for you. If that's something you'd be interested in, again, look at the link at the top. We got more stuff, but we'll
save it for a little bit.
We'll save it for you. So if you want to donate to the show for a $5 donation or more, and put your name down and tell me what you want. Like, do you want the soundtrack album? Do you want the poster? What are you interested? We will be talking about this, the piece de resistance. This, my friends, is a crew hat that I had made that Dave and I bought for the crew, the Bulgarian crew, in 2008, in the summer of 2008, and it says on the back, Sofia, Bulgaria, June 2008. And this is in cherry condition. It's still got this sticker on it, so you know if you don't want to take the sticker off. And this hat is 10 years old. It's brand new, other than the fact that it's 10 years old. And this is very, very special. This is swag. And if you want to bid on this, if you want to do a donation, bid on it. We'll sign the bill or something. If you don't want it signed, we won't sign it. But yes, that is an original Hills on Red crew hat. The only people that have those hats are people that worked on the movie. I found that. I didn't even know I still had it. With this brand, it's mint condition. It's never been worn. It's I think it's the size is large to extra large. So we've got that, and to help raise money for more Burnettwork footage and all this stuff. There you go. Let's see. Gilbert has some mega fans. I want an autographed Gilbert pick for Christmas. Well, I'll tell you something that's really, really interesting. A guy contacted me, this guy Neil, and out of the blue, and he said he wanted to do a video game with me, like a mobile app video game. It's called Space Rob, the character of Space Rob, and he has his trusty sidekick Gilbert, and we're both in space garb. And it's a pretty cool game, and we've been developing it. There's a trivia component to it. It's great. So Gilbert is going to be starring in a mobile app that you'll be able to get. It's really cool. The Adventures of Space Rob. And Neil's a mad genius. He keeps sending me graphic design work, and Rob's ship, the Kubrick, turns into a mecha, like this Iron Giant cross with Gorilla.
Oh my God.
It's amazing. I'll show you some of this stuff later.
So speaking of video games.
Yes.
And horror, what's your favorite horror video game? There's been a lot of them.
There's been a lot of them. You know what? I have to say Silent Hill.
First one and the second one?
The first one I played.
Okay.
I don't know which one I played.
Silent Hill 2 is the better of the two.
Yeah, maybe that's the one I played. I mean, I was just the mood that it struck.
Oh yeah.
And the weird surrealist element to it all.
The cinematic camera movement of it and everything else was pretty cool.
I think the Silent Hill games were that game. I must have played 2 first. That's probably my favorite. What about you?
I'm an old Resident Evil guy. I love that, but I'm playing this really cool one now. I'm not huge on like shooter games because I get kind of bored with that stuff.
Right.
But I'm playing this thing called the Call of Cthulhu right now.
Oh yeah.
Which is sort of a detective investigation game and stuff like that. And I thought that was so far really, really cool as far as like horror games go.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
I also like the old game Nightmare Creatures, which was a fun
now,
game.
when did that? Was that a platform?
That was a PlayStation and like Dreamcast. I think it was. I think so.
I remember Dreamcast. Hey Gilbert, people want to see you, buddy. Here, Gilbert, turn around. There he is. He just got shaved. He's a Bernettdoodle. He's half. I just almost unplugged the microphone there. He's Bernettdoodle, 25% Bernese Mountain Dog and 75% Poodle. Let's see. There's a lot of questions coming in.
This is kind of cool. I haven't done this before, guys, so you got to bear with me here. I'm trying to get a feel for all of this.
Yeah, Josh Crichton says, besides Stephen King, what are some good horror or sci-fi horror authors? Oh my God.
We want to go old school first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. James Herbert.
Yeah, okay. Let me tell you guys.
Well, it also depends on the type of horror you like, but James Herbert's a really good place to start.
Yeah, I talked about this yesterday. My YA fiction was horror novels of the late 70s, early 80s that were wholly inappropriate for kids.
Oh yeah.
The James Herbert's books had incredible sex, awesome violence, and I couldn't turn. Do you have a favorite James Herbert novel?
I really like The Dark.
The Dark. I love the Dark.
I mean, I've always got a soft spot for The Lair and the Rats.
Right. That were the first books I read.
Yeah.
Well, I read the Rats at summer camp.
That's perfect.
Summer camp was. I don't know if you guys do people go to summer camp anymore?
Sure. Yeah.
You're waiting for the summer. Like meatballs.
Mm-hmm.
The summer camp was a big deal because we would pass around these notoriously horrible. They weren't horrible books, but had horrible stuff in them. The parents knew what we were trading. I remember I read The Rats. And I read Graham Masterton's Plague. Graham Masterton wrote The Manitou.
He also wrote sex guides.
Oh yeah, he did. He was a
marital books.
He did.
And you just picture this, you know, stodgy Englishman drinking tea, writing these sex help books.
Well, what was funny was he wrote the Manitou, so I was really excited to get the book Revenge of the Manitou.
Which I have it with this great cover with the bus and the serpent woman Manitou thing flying around it. It's amazing.
Yeah, and there's a scene. I remember a scene where like a woman's bed sheets come to life and ravage her.
See, that's cool.
Yeah, it was.
That was before Hollow Man.
Yes.
You know?
Oh my God, solely before Hollow Man. And so we read these books. But here's another couple. I love John Skipp and Craig Spector's books that they wrote starting in the mid 80s. They were one of the founders of the Splatterpunk movement. I mean, they didn't really found it. It just people decided to call it. Dave SCHOW called it that.
He was the one who coined the term.
He coined the term Splatterpunk. But if you want to read some great 80s Hell's a Poppin' in your face horror, The Light at the End, The Cleanup, and their magnum opus, The Scream, which is really about a heavy metal rock band that really is from hell.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Scout stuff is great.
Scout
if you're looking for a little like sleazier B movie sort of end, which is a very high endorsement from me. Richard Lehman.
Oh yeah, The Woods Are Dark.
The Woods Are Dark. The Beast House Chronicles. Endless Night. Out of the Lights. These are all pulpy things that you can easily find like on Amazon for Kindle and everything now too. But you know, besides, you know, and then you get people like, you know, you should be reading some Ray Bradbury.
Yeah. Well, you can't. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. When we were reading these horror novels,
and Richard Matheson. You should be reading some of the, you know, you read some of the greats along with. But if you
and Richard Matheson's I Am Legend that we've now seen made into 3 different movies. Read that book. It's Richard Matheson's I Am Legend got me into specifically reading horror fiction. It's incredible because Matheson wrote original Twilight Zone episodes, and he wrote a couple episodes of the original Star Trek series. He wrote The Enemy Within and Cat's Paw. And I Am Legend was an incredible book. Incredible.
And if you want another older author to search out, of course, apart from Psycho, is Robert Bloch.
Oh, yeah.
He's got dozens of great short stories, lots of really great books. But also, if you're looking for something that's become really prevalent in horror in this past year, thanks to this book called Paperbacks from Hell, is
by Grady Hendrix.
By Grady Hendrix, it is a book that is all about these pulp horror novels of the 70s and 80s, and it's you'll find some great titles in there.
Yeah, and unfortunately, if you want to buy them because of Paperbacks from Hell, all of these titles you used to be able to pick up for a song at used bookstores. They're like up to hundreds of dollars now. So thank you, Grady Hendrix. Although it's made my collection worth a lot more money. So
I'm gonna raid his closet.
Yeah, you know. So here we go. Iron Man 109 says, Rob, I watched 2001: A Space Odyssey a month ago for the first time on 4K. The opening got me because I totally thought there was something wrong with my disc, but I absolutely loved it.
Wow.
Yeah, because it has an overture.
Yeah.
Before it starts.
Yeah.
Well, good man. 2001 is one of the greatest science fiction movies ever made, and seeing on that new 4K disc is gorgeous. It's so beautiful. It's like what Belloc said when he opened the Ark of the Covenant. It's beautiful. It's like that. So let's see. Gilbert has some mega fans. People want autographed Gilbert things.
Right.
I couldn't play Resident Evil 7 for more than 2 hours. Farky50 says that. I know. That shit was scary. Scary.
What's Rob, check my cables or volume audio after someone bumped it.
Is the audio still on? Somebody, I don't know. Audio low after some. That's not good. I don't know, Dave. Unless
stand by.
The volume is that better?
Well, people are still watching.
People are still watching. Thoughts?
It's on but low. Someone said it's on but low.
Is it better now? Is it better now?
Is it better now?
Is everybody in?
It's still real low. You guys sorry guys, technical. It's better.
Oh, okay.
It's
good.
Better. Okay.
Okay, good.
Here's one. Thoughts on the Rob Zombie horror universe of House of 1,000 Corpses, Devil's Rejects, and the upcoming film 3 from Hell. I really like Rob Zombie's work. I think he's what I like about him, and I know a lot of people have problem with it and they go, oh, it's redneck horror, whatever. But he's created his own voice, and that's harder to do have a recognizable style and signature that when you see it, you definitely know whose movie that is. I think they're cool. I think Devil's Rejects is a much better movie than House of a Thousand Corpses. So I'm excited about Three from Hell. I can't wait to see something. I've talked to Bill Moseley about it a little bit, but
Was it good?
He's super happy. He says it's his best performance that he's ever done.
Wow.
So
yeah, I'm a little iffy on Rob Zombie. I don't know. For me, it's very hit and miss, but I watch everything he makes. I thought The Devil's Rejects was rough. Not like rough as in bad rough.
No, it's
rough
a rough viewing experience.
It's a rough viewing experience.
And the one that's really divisive for people is Lords of Salem, which I think is really great.
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I really like that. It was him being he takes chances, especially with that movie. 31 is probably the most sort of conventional Rob Zombie kind of movie,
right?
Apart from the Halloween remake, where he was just sort of saddled with having to remake Halloween.
Yeah. Michael Corrin says, "Only Jesus Christ is our Redeemer. The Bible is God's word. Repent and believe in the gospel. The end is near. God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Seventh-day Adventist."
Wow,
is that an ad-line for an upcoming movie?
Isn't it what's the one that Day of Atonement?
Day of Atonement. It's too late to be
you know what? We must be doing something right if we've got someone who's thrown that out.
Yeah,
that's why we're talking.
Although I do like Seventh-day Adventists. They have a long history of doing good in the world, so good on you, sir. They also have great hospitals.
Zombie Custom Mags. Mike Flanagan should direct Ghost Rider. Mike Flanagan should direct whatever he wants to. He's that good. That's what I think. So what? But okay, let's talk a little bit about. I mean, are there more Hills? Do you guys have more Hills questions? Do you care? Do you want to hear more about that movie, the experience about making that, or have you heard it enough? We can, I'd rather,
Yeah, if you guys have any specific questions for us, I mean, we can just keep talking about like. What do you think? I mean, how do you feel about the state of horror films now?
Oh, it's great. We've had a great year.
What were some of the highlights for you? People talk about A Quiet Place.
Quiet Place was definitely a highlight.
Hereditary.
That was a surprise. Hereditary was a real surprise. That was a real gut punch of a movie. But then you're getting, you get fun things like The Nun, which is kind of like it looks like a Hammer horror movie, and it's more about the jump scares and the ride aspects.
Did you see The Void?
I like The Void.
I like The Void
too. The Void was really cool. That came out. I think that came out the year before.
Yeah, but I didn't catch up with it till this year when it was on streaming.
I think Shudder's been putting out some really cool movies. There's Terrified. If you guys are looking for like really good horror and you don't know about it, but chances are you probably do if you're watching this now. Get Shudder. It's got so many classic movies, and then they get really cool exclusives that only they have. Things like Joe Lynch's Mayhem is exclusive to Shudder, which is a really fun, crazy movie. I mean, I think one of my favorite things of the year is the return of Joe Bob Briggs. That's been like one of the best things of the year.
Yeah. I read
for the genre. Yeah.
I read him religiously. I mean, for you guys who don't know who Joe Bob Briggs is, he used to write. He's a character. He was even in, not as Joe Bob Briggs, but he was in the Mick Garris's miniseries of The Stand. He plays a sheriff, ill-fated sheriff.
Yeah.
He used to write these reviews as if he's this local yokel going to the drive-in and writing movie reviews. They're collected. You can read them. But one of my favorite reviews I ever read was his review of American Ninja with Michael Dudikoff. He just, I mean, it was like, it was very funny. It was you just got to read Joe Bob Briggs. He's great.
But yeah, just watching this, he's just a joy to see back, and it's great. Let's see. Someone says, I really want to see Don't Breathe 2.
Well, you have to say who it was. It was CCM Zombie Custom Maps.
Okay, sorry about that.
It's your first time, if.
I'd rather hold my breath than see Don't Breathe 2. I find that look, I think some of it's really effective, but I find it really silly because the man is blind, he's not deaf, and they're really loud. It's just the movie just sort of falls apart on a kind of logic sense to me that just didn't work. And then the turkey baster thing, it just got so ridiculous. And why have this alarm that goes directly to the cops if you have someone locked in your basement?
I don't know. I don't.
I think Fede Alvarez is an insanely talented director, though.
Yeah, he is. Oh, hey, look, Josh Crichton says, which is more disturbing to watch? They exist. You mean They Live? It's They Exist from John Carpenter or Eyes Wide Shut from Stanley Kubrick. Both are references by David Icke. I know who David Icke is. David Icke believes that he's the guy that believes that we're all that the elite are a bunch of lizard people. That's
oh,
David
okay,
Icke.
okay.
And I have watched many David Icke videos on YouTube and things like that. But yes, They Live and Eyes Wide Shut. I don't think either one are disturbing. I think They Live is terrific. I just got the new 4K disc from the UK. It's great.
I love that movie.
With Daniel Griffith's Ballyhoo Films documentary about They Live, which is fun. What's the most overrated horror movie? Owen Tui asks. That's a good question. The most overrated horror film. I don't know.
Ever?
Yeah, well, I mean, all the horror movies that are highly rated, I usually love. I mean, there's a reason why they are highly rated.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of you know.
We're gonna table that. We'll come back to that. Ben Bamboo asks, if you were making a film with an ultra low budget, besides casting, what would you pay attention to in order of importance to make it not look low budget? I have an answer. I have an answer for you, Ben. The difference between a low budget movie looking low budget is there's tricks. Low budget movies tend to not have big wide shots and they don't have close up shots. So what I would do is put the camera in closer than you might and then pull it back farther so you can give it some scope. I know it seems crazy, but basically a 50 millimeter lens is how the human eye sees. So a lot of low budget horror is just shot like on a 50 millimeter lens where it's basically medium shots the whole time. There's nothing that betrays your budget more than those kinds of medium shots. So put the camera further away and get it closer up. That's just a quick thing, and shoot as much coverage as you can. So you've got things you can do in the edit bay.
Location. The other thing to make it, a lot of people when they're doing low budget movies and everything that they sort of like skip over or go over quickly is their sound mix and sound effects and the sound mix. Nothing gives away a movie's budget more than how it sounds or the lack of sound. So it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Still think about the most overrated horror film.
Me too. Somebody asks, Blake St. Clair said, did the mic go out? It sounds to me like I can hear it, but I'm not hearing it from there. I hope not. People are still asking.
Let us know if you can't hear us and you're just trying to, read our lips.
Sharpshooter 07 says, do you guys remember Joe Bob Briggs doing the commentary of The Fly while TNT showed it? It's the funniest thing I ever saw in my life. Well, he did those TNT things where he would host movies.
Oh yeah,
those were hilarious. He was hilarious.
He still is. That's the thing. He hasn't lost any of his edge.
Yeah,
you really do need to get Shudder and see these things. There's 3 marathon specials now, and it's totally worth it. He is checking his mic. It looks like it's on here.
How about that?
Maybe.
Is that better for the mic? Look at that. I must have, when I bumped it, input volume changed.
Okay,
so that should be better. So the input volume is up where it's supposed to be.
Let's get back to people asking stuff.
Love those answers. Thanks, guys. Favorite Alice Cooper song, Dave? Josh Crichton says, favorite Alice Cooper song for me, Only Women Bleed or The World Needs Guts.
Really?
That's what he says.
Oh, okay. Great songs. Man, it's so hard. I mean, $1 Billion Babies. I'm 18. I really like from the Inside, the album he did when he was in an asylum, in an institution. I like he's back, the man behind the mask from Friday the 13th 6. I love Identity Crisis from the film Monster Dog, which Alice Cooper stars in. And his album Along Came a Spider, which came out a couple of years ago, I think is almost brilliant top to bottom. I absolutely love that album.
Farky50 says, Dave, I'm interested in the filmmaking process. How did you get started on your film? Was it a small concept or did you have a finished script? How did you go about finding funding or the next step? It's very interesting.
Knee pads. No, with The Hills Run Red, we were approached by a company called Fever Dreams, and they sent the script to us and they were interested in meeting with directors. They sent us 2 scripts, actually, that and this thing called Wicked Lake. We got both scripts. Rob and I both read them. We both made different presentations. I had some artwork created for Hills Run Red. He worked on Wicked Lake. And then they came out here and we did the presentation. And then that started the process of them giving us the job and then getting the script rewritten by David SCHOW. And then they wanted a sales reel proof of concept. So we put that shoot together, and that piece combined with Dave SCHOW's script, we shot for 1 day. We did like a 3-minute little concept piece, which you can find on YouTube. And that is what we, with the help of some friends, got into Warner Premiere, presented it to Diane Nelson and Matt Bierman, and that's what got us that movie going.
Yeah.
So with every project I do now, I do a presentation lookbook with artwork and some ideas about how I would like to do the movie and stuff like that. And yeah, you have to have the script. The nice thing, the most valuable thing, and it's actually the cheapest because it's your time, your creativity, and paper, is a screenplay.
Right.
And it's the one commodity that you can own outright and no one can just take from you. So that's how I've been doing it. Other people do things called rippermatics, where they take footage from other movies and edit it together in sort of a presentational trailer to sort of give the feel of what you want your movie to be and look like, and have that feel to express to producers and investors and that type of thing. Other people, there a lot of times shooting a proof of concept thing has become very big now too.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, it's very tough, and to get money these days, you really do have to go the extra mile to get people to take a look at it. It's tough. Yeah, it's really tough.
Yeah, there's no easy way to do it. Let's see what somebody.
But it can be done. Perfect example is Lights Out. That started as 2.5 minute little short film the guy just put up on his website, submitted it to some festivals, started winning festivals, went viral, and that's how James Wan heard about it. And then it became this juggernaut of a movie. And now that guy directed Shazam.
Right. ZCMZ Zombie Custom Maps asks, what horror book should be adapted as a movie, but it ought to be on $100 million budget? I have an answer for that. One of my dream projects is Robert McCammon's 1981 vampire opus, They Thirst. I want to make that so bad. Oh my God, I'd love to make that. I don't even, vampire stories have been done to death. It's kind of it needs a reinvention, and They Thirst is the film to do it.
That one would be a good one.
What about you?
Carrying Comfort, Dan Simmons.
That's a good. That would be epic. That's enough. I love Dan Simmons, by the way. He's another great author. Let's see. For both of you, what is your favorite Christmas movie and why?
Oh man,
we're 2 days away from Christmas.
I know there's so many. I love It's a Wonderful Life. I mean, it's but then I do like. I think a Christmas movie that came out a couple of years ago that I think is really underrated is Fred Claus with Vince Vaughn and Paul Giamatti. I think it's
Santa.
Bad Santa. The Ref. The Ref is one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time.
I like The Holiday.
Oh, man.
I mean, but
so small to you.
But you've got one of the characters is a film composer.
It's Jack Black is a film composer.
But I mean, the older guy too, the screenwriter.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And then like favorite Christmas horror movie. It's Krampus, Mike Doherty's Krampus. I think that that and Gremlins.
Yeah, I would say Gremlins is my favorite Christmas horror movie.
I think I like Krampus is so much more about Christmas than just being set at Christmas.
Right.
I really like that one. And then there's one weird discovery if you're into like these weird Christmas slasher movies and stuff like that is this one called Christmas Evil.
Oh,
which is I think on Amazon Prime right now. It's sort of like Taxi Driver-esque in a way. It's really bizarre and it's being rediscovered a lot. John Waters loves it. But there's one more that we have to talk about. It's a new favorite Christmas movie. Our friend Spooky Dan Walker just made this movie.
And this is a real labor of love for him. Talk about low budget
Sleigh
indie
Bells.
horror. Sleigh Bells right there.
I'm trying to get it. So there you go. It's with Barry Bostwick, Christina Klebe, who was in Rob Zombie's Halloween. It's about 3 urban explorer girls go to a defunct was a real defunct Santa's village up near Big Bear, which has now been completely renovated and is supposedly amazing. And they come across Krampus and Santa Claus, and it's up to them to stop them. It's if you like a lot of fun, craziness, check it out. It's on you can buy it on Amazon, you can stream it from there, iTunes, all that stuff.
Or for a donation of $5,
That's
you
right.
could be entered into a drawing to win this Blu-ray. It's not a movie, but one of my favorite horror novels about Christmas is Robert Devereaux's Santa Steps Out.
Oh man.
And man, it's you just got to read it. Now there's like 3 of them. Now he's got the Christmas Chronicles series, but the first was Santa Steps Out. You got to read that. It's Robert Devereaux's written some great horror novels, but that was hilarious. What was it like working with Chuck Sousa says, what was it like working with Bill Sadler, and can you give me Sophie Monk's contact info? Well, call the Australian consulate.
I'm sure it's on a bathroom wall somewhere.
Sophie Monk is a big radio personality down under, and I recently read an article where she said one of the great regrets of her life was actually doing our movie as opposed to another movie that she was up for.
Yeah, she was on a radio show, and she claimed that she was offered the role in The Hangover. Was it The Hangover? It was The Hangover one that Roller Girl ended up playing.
Yeah.
What's her name? I'm blanking.
I know, and I love her.
She's great. But yeah, she claimed that, and she said that she had to turn that down to do this movie, which is complete bullshit.
Yeah,
it's absolutely not true. She has not complained about The Hills Run Red for 10 years. I have a video of her from Germany saying hi and saying she misses us and stuff like that. It's like you've really run out of shit to talk about. And now you're going to start trashing the movie. So, as a suggestion, if you're an actor and actress, you know what? Janet Montgomery, who's a much bigger actress, who's been on the show Salem and is on,
she's on New Amsterdam right now,
new series and stuff like that. She never complained. That was her first movie. In fact, she owns it, which is exactly what you should do.
As a matter of fact, I ran into Janet Montgomery a couple of years ago at the Saturn Awards, and she basically jumped up and jumped into my arms when she was there with Salem, and Brandon Bragg is like, how do you guys know each other? I'm like, yeah. So no, Janet Montgomery's great. I love her, and she's just about to have a baby if she didn't already.
Yeah, soon.
Yeah, soon.
But William Sadler, one of the coolest actors, one of the coolest guys ever. So nice, and he came over for a week or so.
And his wife was sick.
No, his wife's father had passed away. Oh. So it was a really stressful time back home. But he was a total pro. He was really great. A lot of fun.
It was great to watch him work.
You really don't have to give him a lot of direction. You just sort of gush at him a little bit, but someone like that, you don't.
Heather Graham, Darren Dog says.
Thank you, Heather Graham. Right. So yeah, Sadler is as cool as you would want him to be. Just a really great guy and a fantastic actor.
Yeah, no, he's amazing. Let's see what else.
Thoughts on
Thoughts on ZCMZ Zombie Custom Maps says thoughts on William Friedkin as a director. Well, he's one of my favorite directors. I mean, his run of The French Connection, The Exorcist, Sorcerer. I know there's like The Brink's Job, and there's Deal of the Century. And I love To Live and Die in L.A. And he did Rampage, a really interesting serial killer movie.
But then then Bug and Killer Joe was like doing these small gritty little movies back then. It was after so many years.
Killer really Joe is great.
I think he did like masterpieces early on, sort of faltered around the 80s, a little bit after To Live and Die in LA. There's The Guardian, which is kind of a mess of a movie, I think. But I mean, come on, you can't deny like Sorcerer. It's like that is pure movie making. At anyone's.
Oh, and Jeffrey Sassone says Cruising. Yes, I forgot about Cruising.
Oh, that's right.
I'll tell you a funny story about Cruising. So the producer, Jerry Weintraub, who produced Cruising, my dad insured him. He had a company called Concerts West where he put all the concerts on the West Coast. And so he was before he was producing like the Ocean's 11 movies and things, Jerry Weintraub was a big producer, and he produced Cruising. And my dad's like, well, I'm going to take you to this movie opening, and I was, 13?
Oh,
so like, my dad didn't know what it was about. For those who don't know, Cruising is a movie about Al Pacino plays a cop who has to go undercover in the leather daddy underworld in New York City. And it was
family film.
It was notorious because they shot in real places. I mean, there were dudes fisting each other on camera. And I'll tell you something else about that movie. And he's going after a murderer. And every time there's an actual murder in Cruising, you can actually see this on the home video. There are close-up shots of anal intercourse and intercut with the stabs.
Okay, let's move on to another question.
I'm just saying. And
Happy holidays, everyone.
my dad took me to this, not knowing what the movie was about, and let's just say I had many questions when it was over.
All right, so we get some good ones here. There's Wake Me When We Get There, huh? Ever see Repo, the Genetic Opera? Yes, of course. It's Spooky Dan Walker, who's a really good friend of mine. His favorite movie. I'm friends with Darren Bousman. So yeah, I have seen Repo. Is it Hands of Stone? Right below. Favorite 80s horror film remake: The Thing, The Fly, or The Blob?
Well, I think
that is actually a really tough question, but I'm going to go. It's got to be The Thing for me.
That's really tough because I think The Thing and The Fly, both The Thing and The Fly, are such seminal movies, and they're also the Thing is a famous remake of a Howard Hawks. Is Howard Hawks directed the first one?
Christian Nyby.
Pardon me, Christian Nyby directed it, and it's based on a short story by John W. Campbell called Who Goes There, and Carpenter's version of the story is much better. It's a much more faithful telling of that story. But then what Cronenberg did with The Fly, reinventing it with that performance from Goldblum, they're both, I couldn't choose.
And The Blob is amazing. On an effects standpoint alone, what Tony Gardner did with The Blob is amazing. Chuck Russell and Frank Darabont, they knocked it out of the park with the script for what that movie is. It's fucking great. Next one. I can't see the name, so you're going to have to say the name. Sharpshooter 07? What if James Wan rebooted Dark Shadows? Nah. He can do so much better. He can create his own shit. He doesn't need to do that.
Dale M says it's not my favorite horror movie, but American Werewolf in London, but I absolutely love it. We all love American Werewolf.
It's so great. I got to
won the first Oscar for makeup effects.
But they did give special Oscars out before that.
Yes, but they didn't have
didn't have a category. I saw American Werewolf in London with John Landis. We went there's this great film festival in London, and I went for The Hills Run Red in 2008 called Fright Fest UK, and it's absolutely amazing. It's fantastic, and I got to go there, and all the directors who were guests sit in the same aisles, and I just happened to, my seat was always next to Landis's. So literally, we would like, he brought over Thriller for an anniversary screening,
Wow.
and American Werewolf, which went along with Paul Davis's
documentary,
Beware
yeah.
the Moon, which is really great if you haven't watched that. And then Landis took a bunch of us on a walking tour of London, where Piccadilly Circus showing us where he shot stuff. And then we sat and he held court as we had, you know, tea and lunch.
Wow.
It was amazing. Landis is a hilarious, funny guy. That movie is fantastic. I love it.
Wow, that is great. I just saw a question I wanted. Oh, this is a great question. Brandon Pinchbeck says, "Hey, Rob and Dave, I have a Hannibal Lecter question. Anthony Hopkins or Mads Mikkelsen? Which portrayal of the character you guys prefer?" You know,
I think.
What about Brian Cox? No love for Brian Cox. He famously played.
What about the one who played him in Hannibal Rising?
Oh yeah, there's
the kid.
The kid. That's right.
All right, let's forget that one.
Yeah, okay.
Let's not go there.
That's a good question, though.
I mean, I would always have thought I would say Hopkins, but then watching the series, I don't know. Mads is mad, man. He's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I love Hannibal, the series. But the thing about it is they're different. You know, I think that if you think about Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs, he's only in it for like 15 minutes or less.
Right.
And to me, he's playing it much more of he's a crazy person, you know, and he's good. I really like him, but there's something, Mads Mikkelsen's portrayal of the character and the way it was written, the whole series takes it up to a whole new nightmarish
it was terrifying.
realm. It was terrifying. But then again, remember, Anthony Hopkins won an Oscar for portraying that character for 15 minutes, and Mads Mikkelsen did it over 3 seasons on TV.
Yeah, but that entire series was not loved enough.
No, the Hannibal TV series is one of the great, if not the greatest, horror television show of all time. Somebody asked up if I had seen The Terror this year.
I didn't watch The Terror.
The Terror is great, by the way. It's a TV show. It's based on another Dan Simmons novel, one of my favorite novelists, called The Terror. The less you know going in, the better. Watch it, love it. It's great. You'll love it.
So there's 2 questions. Owen, again, you have to read the last name because I can't.
I don't know where you are. Where?
Owen, if you down, no, up. Next one.
Owen Toohey.
Owen Toohey goes, if you could remake any horror movie, what would it be? I have several, but not.
If I could remake any horror, you know what? I would make Vampire Circus. I would remake Vampire Circus. I love the Hammer horror film Vampire Circus. It might be my favorite Hammer horror movie. It's not part of like the Karnstein trilogy or anything like that. I love Vampire Circus. I'd love to do, because we don't have circuses anymore. Ringling Brothers, I know it's like they're not politically correct, but I love Vampire Circus, and I would love to make a modern Vampire Circus. What about you?
Rawhead Rex.
Ooh, that's a
good one. Because you know, the book material and Barker's interpretation of that monster is so completely different than what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And see, to me, it's always like, you know, pick a movie that had like a really great concept or something, and then improve upon it. That one, Motel Hell. If I'm gonna, you know, go.
I saw that movie.
I love Motel Hell.
I saw Motel Hell opening weekend at a drive-in, and it was on a double bill with David Cronenberg's first film, Shivers, but it was called They Came From Within in America.
That's perfect. That's a perfect double bill. And then right underneath, someone else had Josh Crichton. Thoughts on Michael Jackson Thriller video. I think it's the greatest music video that was ever created.
It's great. I love it.
It's perfect. And someone up there, I forget who, I'm sorry, when we were talking about favorite Christmas movie, and I didn't mention Black Christmas, and you're absolutely right. Bob Clark's Black Christmas is the greatest Christmas horror movie ever made.
Anthony Hopkins, for me, it's the dinner scene in Hannibal. That's, you know what? Bartholomew O'Mac, I can't say this, Dihemia de Connacht. Anthony Hopkins, for me, it's the dinner scene in Hannibal. That's very disturbing. That is a great scene. I remember I read the book. I love Thomas Harris's books. And even in the book, I was like, oh my God, are they going to recreate this on film when Ridley Scott? And he did. I love that scene. Hassan Chavez says, The Terror made me feel less of a man. Neil Bear 66. This is a good question. Are there horror films that go too far?
I don't think. Look, there's only one film that I just don't. I cry bullshit on, and that's a Serbian film.
That's a pretty rough watch.
I just think it's too far because I don't think it's I know people from Serbia, and I don't think that's an accurate portrayal. Now I've never been, but I think I don't think a movie can go. Look, with the exception of if it's a snuff film, yeah, then it goes too far. But as far as like faking anything, I don't think you should not be allowed to do anything.
Right.
It just might be too far for you personally. Serbian film, too far for me personally.
Yeah, I'm not a big. I mean, that movie. If you guys have never seen the uncut version of a Serbian, the movie's actually called A Serbian Film. And I heard the director once talking about how he tried to convey what the Balkans conflict was like on film, and that's kind of what he did. That was Sophie, by the way, Sophie Bell. That was a cameo on the show. It's pretty rough. And again, you know, I look, as a teenager, I was all about the most transgressive, horrific, violent, sexual, whatever. I would watch it all. But then because there was a certain punk rock aspect to those things, and you wanted to be shocking.
Okay.
But then it really started to bother me if a film didn't have a point. Like, there's a lot of rape revenge films. There's a lot of, like, I Spit on Your Grave is a movie. Even when I first saw it, I'm like, you know what?
I need a shower with a wire brush after that.
Yeah.
It's just, it's very tough walking out of a movie or getting done seeing a movie and just feeling completely depressed and hating life.
Yeah.
But there are those that do it, and those I don't enjoy that much.
I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, is really, really rough, and but I think it's a great movie.
Right.
Like, I think it's one of the classics of the horror genre, and there's never been. That was the first time that the documentary style of filmmaking really, really worked for horror.
Sure.
You know, and it was, and yet I consider Texas Chainsaw. The Leatherface character is almost fantastical, even though he's not. But he's like,
there's something. Yeah, there's a style to the mask and everything that I take a leap from. I mean, look, you can Cannibal Holocaust is a very effective movie.
Chuck Souza says, one thing I've always wanted to adapt was Stephen King's The Long Walk. Amen, brother.
Oh, yeah.
If you're familiar with this, your thoughts. I read that book before Richard Bachman was outed as Stephen King. I had the first 3 books, Rage, The Long Walk, and Roadwork, and then the Running Man was the 4th. I dearly loved. The Long Walk was a cult novel in my junior high school. It was a novel that all the kids were like, have you read this? And people would pass it around. It's, for those of you who don't know what The Long Walk is, America is a totalitarian state in the near future, kind of like today. But every year they have the Long Walk, and they take 2 people from every state. And basically, if you win the Long Walk, you can have whatever you want. And what happens is these 50 people, and in the book, it's all guys, they just start walking. And if you drop below 3 miles an hour in an hour, you get what's called a ticket. If you get 3 tickets in an hour, they shoot you in the head. And then the Long Walk continues until there's 1 kid left walking. And yet it goes in and out of their stories, and you find out who they are as people and what I think it'd be a great, great movie. But shooting kids in the head, I think it'd be hard to do. But it's a great book.
Okay.
Have you read it? You ever read it?
Oh, Long Walk? Yeah, I love it. Frank Darabont owns the rights to it.
Yeah.
So who knows if that'll ever happen. Okay.
Thoughts on the Brightburn trailer?
I think it looks awesome.
I think it looks awesome.
I can't wait. It's like,
Evil Superman.
Jeffrey Sisson, hello. So as the Hills Run Red turns 10, looking back at the entire experience, was there anything you would do differently today if you were making that today, knowing what you know now?
It's a great question.
Well, sit up, guys, because we got about an hour now for... Yeah, Jeff, you already know the answer. We've talked about this before. Yeah, of course. There's so many things that I would do differently. I would cast it differently. I would have a different DP. I would still have Sadler as the director. I would have Babyface look the same, but I would have an entirely different makeup effects department. I'd keep the same composer, absolutely. Yeah, there's so many things. Editing wise, yeah, I would fix that. There's a lot of things, but when you're doing a movie for a studio, it's kind of out of your hands at times,
Yeah.
And when it's your first movie in their eyes, and rightfully so, I was very lucky that they gave me the considerations that they actually did. So, I mean, it was a huge learning experience. It's weird to me that we hit at this time when DVD was starting to really go out of favor. We really had no P&R.
P&A.
P&A.
That's prints and advertising, but it means budget.
Yeah, we didn't have a lot of publicity, so a lot of people didn't know about it. And the movie itself is sort of, it's funny that this movie about a lost movie has sort of become a lost movie now.
Yeah.
So I don't know what Rob would do differently.
Well, for me, I see it a little differently than Dave. For me, The Hills Run Red was an epic win because I wanted to produce basically a movie on my own. I'd been a co-producer on the Agent Cody Banks movies, and I developed that script, and I wanted the experience of really shepherding a film from beginning to end. And we were going to do Hills Run Red for cheap, for like $350,000. And with the guys at Fever Dreams, it sort of went a little south, and there was the opportunity. To take the movie to Warner Brothers, and the guys at Fever Dreams didn't believe that was even on the table.
They didn't really have faith in. It turned out they really didn't have any faith in us. It was, and we didn't really give them any reason for it. It was a very strange thing. And in 10 years since we went to Warner Brothers with the movie, we've never heard from any of them. We don't even know if they've ever watched the movie.
Yeah, no, I mean I was really on the outs with these guys for no reason at all. They thought I was trying to pull a fast one on them, and I wasn't. And ultimately, the movie did get made at Warner Brothers. So to me, it was an epic win. Our budget was up. We got to go to a foreign country. We had Bill Sadler in it, and yes, from Dave's perspective, there was a lot of creative issues that he didn't have as much control over anymore. But to his credit, Dave stayed on time and on budget, and underneath difficult working conditions in a foreign country where the crew spoke 5 different languages, and the makeup effects team that we had a lot of faith in, I have to say, kind of let us down. Yeah, and it was the one time. Here's what I learned on that movie about favors. Don't do favor. Don't in the entertainment business, when you're making movies, you can't do favors for people. You pay people what they're worth to get the best work out of them. And if you need to fire them with impunity, you do that too. Because that was the last time that I will do favors for people. But ultimately, I look back on that experience and as a favorable one. I really enjoyed it.
Well, enjoy the hell of it. I mean, I'm super proud of the movie, but it's like you can listen to that on a commentary. Us gush about what we like about the movie, and I loved working with Dave SCHOW. He's one of my oldest friends now. He's super talented, so that was just a real honor for that. So there were so many good things about it that got no complaints there as far as that goes.
And Jeff follows up. He says, "Do you feel like if Warner Brothers took a chance on a theatrical push, it would have found its audience in theaters?" I think so, but remember, that was never on the table. It
was never a serious consideration.
No
matter how I mean,
it was.
We would have had to have bigger names in it, I think, for them at that time, at that stage of the game. Remember, our movie came out the same day, got released on video the same day that Trick or Treat got released, and that went just direct to video and not theatrical.
Right, and Warner Premiere, their direct to video division they were going to make 10 movies with Silver Pictures that were direct to video films. Ours was the second. The first was Return to House on Haunted Hill. Ours was their first original film, and they were actually in pre-production on a movie called Cheerleaders in Trouble that was going to be the third movie, and then they canned the whole thing. They decided, why should we make these little low-budget movies when we can make more Harry Potter stuff? And I'm like, Dave and I are both veterans of Charlie Band's Full Moon, where there was a lot of talent that came through, and these movies could have been incubators for new talent. I mean, the one thing is, out of Hills Run Red, I'm very proud of Janet Montgomery and where her career has gone, and she was delightful during the production of the film, and I think it's neat to see where her career has gone. And you know, Bill Sadler's still out there swinging, so that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone had an interesting Full Metal Slate. Best horror creature design in your opinion?
Best horror creature. You know what? I've got to go. It's boring, but it's either got to be the Alien or the Predator. I think those two creatures are they're so iconic. The Predator, especially with the mouth design, and but the original Alien. When I saw that, I saw Alien when it was first run, and there had never been a creature like that, remotely similar to the Alien ever put on film. And even though it was still a man in the suit for the most part, the dimensions of it, Giger's design, it's so iconic and so amazing. What do you think?
Again, I'm probably going to go with Rob Bottin's work on The Thing.
All right, but that's not a single creature.
But it is.
Well, it's all creatures. But which version of it? Which thing in The Thing?
The final one.
Oh, the giant, yeah.
The Blair monster.
The Blair monster, yeah, it's pretty great.
You know, it's got a little bit of the dog in there. It's got the tentacles. It's got everything going for it. So yeah, I think that's good. What's been some of your favorite horror stuff this year? What's some of the surprises? What's some of the finds in horror that really surprised you this year?
Well, okay, it wasn't this year, but I think the horror movie that I liked the most was The Witch. Okay. I love The Witch. I was surprised. I mean, I didn't want to see The Witch. I'm like, ugh, it's a period piece. I'm like, I don't know, man. I really love The Witch. I love the atmosphere of it, the build up to it. Even the end, people are like, I don't like the end one. It's a little wacky. I'm all about tone and mood. I really like the movie I saw on Netflix, Ritual.
Oh yeah, that's
about
great.
The guys, the hunting party that goes, their friend like dies, and they go off and they have a hunting party, and they go into the woods and find things that they probably shouldn't have found. I really like that. I really liked Hereditary, but I didn't love Hereditary. I wanted to love Hereditary, but I'm like, it's okay. I just didn't love it. But let's see, what else did I see that and you know what really disappointed me was The Apostle. I was really looking forward to that. I think it was good, but I love The Raid, and I love The Raid 2, and I was just expecting more. I thought plot-wise it was a little hinky. I don't know. What about you?
Surprises, things that I wasn't. Hereditary, I didn't know what to expect, but
right.
I found, talk about some really strong nightmarish imagery there. Overlord was just, I finally saw that. That was just really wacky and fun.
Yeah,
that was probably the most blood-drenched fun.
I'll tell you one of the wackiest horror movies that I've saw. John Schnepp came into Heroes one day. We did the great John Schnepp, who I did Heroes with. He comes in and he goes to me, "You got to watch this movie it's on Netflix. It's like in the basement of Netflix. It's called Baskin, and it's a Turkish movie. And just go watch it." I'm like, all right. So it was like really Baskin is basically about a bunch of racist cops that think they're on a drug bust that actually find a doorway to hell. And then it becomes very Clive Barker-esque, and it's Turkish.
It's crazy.
How did this movie get made in Turkey? But that was something I really liked too.
Yeah, I like that. One of the surprises I have to say is Blue Underground did 4K remasters of Zombie.
Oh yeah,
and Maniac, and I was like, I already have these in Blu-ray. How good can they look? And they're amazing.
Okay,
they're absolutely amazing.
They're expensive as fuck though.
They're $35 a piece.
Zombie, I'm like, how many times have I bought Zombie?
It's three discs.
All right, I bought that damn movie on VHS, on Laserdisc, on DVD. It's like, how many times have I bought The Beyond? because when you couldn't get it as a bootleg, it was terrible. And then whenever they come out, you're like, oh, I have to buy the Beyond.
Oh, another film that I saw. I think it was released the year before, but I finally caught it this year, and it's a really weird little quirky movie, but I really liked it. It was called The Cleanse with Jonathan Gaglicki.
I wanted to see that. It looked good.
Angelica Houston and Oliver Platt and Kyle Gallner. And it's this really weird little creature movie. It's almost like a little Charlie Band kind of creature movie in a way.
Right.
Really
I saw
bizarre,
okay,
but kind of heartwarming. It's like I like finding like little things like that, little secret, you know.
It's not that obscure. Again, it came out a couple years ago, but I loved Karen Kusama's The Invitation.
Oh my God.
If you haven't seen The Invitation, it's still on Netflix. It's great. Go see The Invitation.
Yeah.
Let's see. Wait, let's go back.
Terrifier. Someone said.
Yeah,
was talking about that.
Let's see. I'll go back up because where we are. Hotel there.
What's on?
Oh,
no Trek talk on when I'm around.
Yeah, we can't talk Star Trek.
Sorry,
but if you do like Star Trek, the Inglorious Treksperts, of which I am one of 3 episodes counting down by the end of the year, the 50 greatest Star Trek episodes. The Inglorious Trekspert podcast dropped today. Our Christmas special, the 50 best Star Trek episodes, counting down wherever you get your podcasts.
From what I hear, if you start listening now, you might be finished after Christmas.
It's true. Movie Finobi says, hello, Rob. Good to see you streaming again. What are your thoughts on story ideas? Keep in rough outline and flesh out or convert to an actual script? That's a good idea. That's a good question.
You know what? That's really up to you. However you like to work. Some people really like to outline everything. Other people like to just start writing the script. Whatever works for you.
I've always tended to think that if people are going to start on that, the process, whether I'm going to do an outline, all of that to me seems like procrastination.
I don't know. Sometimes it really helps work out some structure and things like
no,
that.
I agree. You got to have ideas. You got to there's nothing wrong with having ideas, but if you know what you're going to write and you have a notebook full of ideas, just sit down and do it.
But a lot of the time, the notebook full of ideas are all sort of randomly placed and everything. Sometimes it's good to have it here it is in sort of a rough timeline, so you know where you're going.
No doubt.
Other people
organize your ideas, and do an outline if you must. But the thing is, if you don't have a great outline, that doesn't mean you shouldn't start necessarily writing, because the important thing is to get the writing done. It's to actually do it. It's to actually sit down and crank the stuff out, because it's like people that you can revise your work forever and never be done with it.
Right. I mean, like I said, however you like to do it. But I did actually have a question for you, and this can be Trek related. Because I've never really.
Dave, there's always Star Trek.
Right.
I love the fact that there's the Enterprise above your head.
Of course. Star Wars has done books that are horror.
Yes. Death Troopers.
Death Troopers and another one.
Yeah.
Has Star Trek. Like a pure horror. The Borg is about as horror as I've ever seen them.
Yeah, there's a few horror themed Star Trek novels, but that's not what really Star Trek is.
Right. I just wondered, because I know Star Wars went down that road. I wondered if Star Trek.
There's a few off the top of my head. I mean, famously the second season. I think it's the second season. It's Catspaw. Maybe Catspaw's first season. The Halloween episode. Sure. Maybe it is first season. Catspaw, written by Richard Matheson.
Is that based on a Block story?
Or maybe was it? Wait a minute.
It was a Block.
That was Robert Block. I said Richard Matheson wrote The Enemy Within. I fucked up earlier. But it was Robert Block. That's right. Wrote the famous the Halloween episode of Star Trek. See, I've been talking Star Trek so much I forget my Star Trek.
Let's see. Do we have any other notes?
Let's see. Hey, Dave, this is good. What education did you go after as far as college, and did it help you succeed in your industry? Was it helpful to you to get your first job in the film industry? What was it?
No. I went to college. The film class I took, the film professor told me to I should just leave and start working on production, because I didn't want to sit there and learn theory. And I didn't really feel like being lectured on what a shadow on a wall meant in a movie. I wanted to learn how to do it. Maybe that's to the detriment. I don't know. It didn't help me get in the industry at all. Every job that I've gotten in this industry has been through connections, through someone I know, more so than, I mean, now I've got enough experience on the resume for editing and some directing and everything. But again, it just all depends on what you get to do. And I wasn't getting to actually make movies in college, so I learned much more by doing.
Yeah.
So
NeoBear66 says, do you watch Takashi Miike films? Oh yes. You know,
we were just talking last night at this Christmas party that we were at, which was a lot of horror directors and people who are in our circle of friends. I'm wondering which one was our favorite. Ichi the Killer is my favorite.
Ichi the Killer. I have Ichi the Killer action figures.
I know.
Believe it or not, I love Ichi the Killer. You know, I loved Fudo. Fudo was the first Miyake movie I saw. It basically has a teenage gang, and it's bonkers, nutty, insane.
No, what was that? What was his 100th Blade of the Immortal? I want to see that. I haven't seen that yet.
I haven't either, and I want to get that too. But it's supposed to be great. His films are like Visitor Q. His movies are really, some of them are really hit and miss. But
Gozu.
I think Gozu. Yeah. I haven't seen Gozu.
I mean, he's made over 100 movies now. It's hard to keep up with him.
I know.
But Ichi would be my favorite one for sure.
And of course, Audition. I mean, I like Audition.
Yeah. I think
fun.
You know what, we were talking about movies that you feel are a little overrated. I'd say Audition might be my pick for a little overrated.
I think Audition got its reputation because of one scene.
Yes.
You know, it's like one scene, and suddenly the movie becomes a genre classic because it's so unexpected. I mean, but now, you know, you have beautiful women who seem pretty and demure, and they turn out to be serial killers. It's not surprising anymore. So you kind of launched that whole idea. Let's see. Okay, River. Destiny Morris, I will subscribe to you. Thank you, Destiny Morris.
And hello.
She actually said XX or XX was a little twisted on its own on Netflix.
There was some good stuff in that. I know several of the directors of that one.
Yeah, it was good. I liked
Jovanka
did,
did a really nice job. But that was probably my favorite story was hers.
Sculpted leather art by Viking Bitch. The Expanse has some good horror in space. Yeah,
The Expanse is great.
The Expanse is great. It's the best science fiction TV show that's been a lot. Hey, speaking of which, doesn't Black Mirror drop tonight?
Yes.
Or tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Or at midnight if it's Christmas Eve, the 24th.
Is it? It might. I don't know if it is or the 28th. I'm not sure. It's coming soon, and it's a choose your own adventure movie.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not an episode. It's just one movie.
It's like a long choose your own adventure thing. I think that's the rumors going around. I saw the name Romero.
I haven't watched Bird Box yet. ZCMZ Zombie Custom App says, have you watched Bird Box? No, it just dropped, but I want to see it. I'm going to watch it.
Okay, someone.
The Expanse has some good horror in space. It really does. It really embraces the mystical dark forces.
Hands of Stone. I'm jumping ahead. Favorite non-zombie George A. Romero film?
You know, I love The Crazies. I think The Crazies is great. I forget how good that movie is, but I think I gotta go with Night Riders.
I love Night Riders.
I love Night Riders. I mean, it's a little goofy now, but I love Night Riders.
See, now I gotta say,
and I love Martin too.
I was gonna say Martin because my favorite George Romero movie is Creepshow, but it's got zombies in it. So I'm gonna say Martin.
Martin's great.
Martin is great, and it's a real shame that Richard Rubenstein is so vice gripped on holding those U.S. rights and not getting those released on Blu-ray like they should be.
The fact that there's not a 4K American release of Dawn of the Dead is shocking. I have the Blu-ray box sets from both Italy and Japan, but they need new masters.
Movie fanboy Flash Gordon is enjoyable too. I'm bored. Sorry. Oops.
Movie Finobi.
Oh, see,
movie Finobi. Flash Gordon is enjoyable too. I'm bored. Okay, well, we have been on for almost 90 minutes, so
holy shit.
John David from Western Australia. Have a very sweaty Christmas. We love Australia. Does that mean Western Australia is where Perth is, right? You're over by. I spent a year in Sydney. You know what I miss about Australia? Coopers. I love my Coopers. Haven't had them in a while. Bird Box is Bartholomew. I can't pronounce your name, man. Bartholomew O'Mac. I love this. Is this Gaelic? Bird Box is all right, kind of middling for me. Don't expect explanations. I'm okay, Dave. This is I'm really annoyed by movies like that where they don't explain what's happening. They have this premise that you're supposed to believe in. I guess you can't. If you see something, then you want to kill yourself or something like this.
Right? Yeah.
And I'm like, then you're not going to explain what it is. I hate that.
Well, my problem with it is that they're just selling it. It sounds like it looks like they're selling it as a quiet place, but with sight instead of sound.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, I mean, maybe it's more. Stephen King tweeted that he liked it, but I'm like, I mean, I guess I'll see it, but
I'll watch it. But somebody up in the chats earlier asked if I'd seen The Endless. If we'd seen The Endless.
Oh yeah,
I loved. Okay,
I like those guys. Those guys do Spring. If you like The Endless, I hope you've seen Spring, which was their previous movie, and then Resolution, which was their first movie, which has got connections to The Endless.
The Endless is a straight up sequel to Resolution. I mean, I think the Arrow release of The Endless in the UK comes with Resolution.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, I love that. Hassan Chavez asks, which Suspiria should I watch first? I've read they're very different. Always watch the original first.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, you're gonna go back and the new Blu-ray of Suspiria is unbelievable. It's incredible. You got to watch it, but it's a Baroque movie. You're gonna watch Suspiria through the lens of today's sensibilities. You're gonna be like, what is this?
Suspiria is not something that you watch; you just experience it.
Yeah, and watch on the biggest TV you can. With a great sound system, because the sound is big when it comes to big.
Josh Crichton asks.
Oh, wait. Movie Fanobi says, I'm not bored with you guys. Well, thanks. Max
I'm
bored.
Okay.
Yeah, he does. The big famous Clax, I'm bored.
What playthings you have me today?
An obscure body in the SK system, Your Majesty. The inhabitants refer to it as the planet Earth.
Looks peaceful.
Yeah.
Which actor, Josh Crichton, which actor, actress that hasn't done a horror film that you would like to see do a horror film? Anne Hathaway. Anne Hathaway sort of has done one called Passengers,
right?
Which was not very good.
Not the Passengers with
not
Star-Lord and Katniss.
No, but yeah, someone who hasn't done a pure horror film.
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I always like it when actors that you don't normally associate, like Emily Blunt in A Quiet Place, doing that. I always like seeing that. Look,
I like comedians who end up doing dramatic roles or doing a horror thing and totally changing their perception of of what you think. But yeah, that off the top of my head, that's kind of hard. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, that's a tough one. The Burnettwork, do you or your lady friend ever do cosplay or Halloween dress up? Do it. I don't really do cosplay or Halloween dress up. I don't. Yeah, I don't do that.
Oh. I just got reminded. Darren Scott just called.
Darren, oh, he did?
Yeah, we have to plug Tales from the Hood 2 now on Netflix.
Yeah,
no, that was one of the.
Is that
I don't know. I'm not saying he was calling about that. But that was, to me, one of the nice surprises of this year is the return of Rusty and Darren's horror anthology.
Yes, they have two, right?
They have two. They have one called I think
American Nightmare.
American Nightmare.
American Nightmare. They have American. But yes, Tales from the Hood 2. After 20. It's kind of like when you think about movies that had sequels done way after the fact. Like there's The Hustler with Jackie Gleason and Paul Newman, and then they made The Color of Money 25 years later. Well, now we have Tales from the Hood 2.
Yeah.
The great 90s. What was it? 96?
I think so. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Yeah, it was.
And now Tales from the Hood 2 is on Netflix now. You can watch Tales from the Hood 2. And yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to watch that in Bird Box. It's a double feature on Netflix. That's what I'm going to watch.
It's got some great stuff in it.
What are your thoughts on Hollywood? Movie Fanobi says, what are your thoughts on Hollywood using more CGI, more practical effects than CGI?
I think that's good.
I do too.
I think look, CGI is a tool. If you use it the right way, it's great. If you can afford to have it done by real artists, you can have some really amazing things now.
Yeah.
Owen.
Tui.
Thank you.
Tom Hanks should be a creepy villain in a horror movie. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and Josh Crichton, Amy Schumer, and Steve Carell for a horror film.
With a John Campea cameo.
I think Steve Carell in a horror film would be amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, if you watched what's the why am I forgetting the title of this? He plays the wrestling coach based on the real guy.
Yeah. It's not the wrestling coach.
No, it's not called that. Oh God, I'm sorry. It's
not the wrestler.
But he was actually really creepy in that.
Yeah.
Really, really creepy.
Yeah. There's all these stuff. Well, guys.
Yeah,
we're at 90 minutes, dude.
Thank you. So, I mean, I can't believe it that it went by that fast.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I think anyone.
One other thing, just before he signs off and everything, another thing that he's going to be auctioning off is a Blu-ray.
It's not an auction. It's for a donation. The channel.
Okay, donation. Thank you.
If you can see the link. If you guys want to donate to this channel, donate to me. Donate, and I will put you into a random drawing. Now we've got a Blu-ray of Tales of Halloween that Dave directed, a Blu-ray of Sleigh Bells, the soundtrack for the Hills Run Red, and the piece de resistance, an actual unused, unworn Hills Run Red crew hat that Dave and I bought for the crew in Bulgaria when we were making Hills Run Red in 2008, and the poster. So if anything, any of those things interest you, for a donation of $5 or more, I will enter you into a drawing. But please tell me, if you're going to donate anything, what drawing you want to be considered for.
Yeah, and we'll sign things or not sign things.
Yes,
or we'll unsign things.
So that's it. I mean,
Hands of Stone says, "Have Dave Parker back. He's great."
Well, Dave is great, isn't he?
Rob is great. And this is my so I know it's a little like wonky because this is the first time I've ever done anything on this type of format before. So
yeah, and I don't know why the sound has been wonky. I mean, it sounds good to me, but
we'll figure the bugs out. But thank you guys. Thank you for sitting around and watching my big head yap for 90 minutes.
Yeah, well, thanks. And I'm going to keep doing these all through the holidays. I'm going to usually do them at noon. I will do a Christmas Eve chat tomorrow around noon if you want to come by and chat and hang out. And
we'll do another horror centric one if Rob will have me back and everything. Of course. So have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate, whatever you don't celebrate. Thanks, Rob.
Well, thank you, Dave. Welcome to Robservations.
Imaginary Phase 1.
Wait, I'm still trying to build my set in the garage, which is going to get done. But anyway, yeah, welcome and thank you for being here. And Dave, thank you for being here. And everybody who watched the channel, thank you. Noon in the Pacific time zone. Yes, noon PST. Pacific Standard Time. Yes, that's why I've been doing these. So tell your friends, join, subscribe, click like. Or don't. Follow me on Twitter, Burnett RM. Where can people find you, Dave?
I'm on Twitter, Dave Parker666, Instagram at Parker Vision, and just Dave Parker on Facebook.
Yes,
which I don't check that much. I usually keep Facebook now just to remember people's birthdays.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
And post. Oh, and I don't care. I mean, Shingles, go see Aquaman.
Yes,
there's monsters in Aquaman. There's horror.
There's huge monsters.
Giant monsters.
And Julie Andrews' voice is one of them. Can you believe that?
She's a giant monster. That's for Dan Schweiger.
It's Christmas.
Our old boss.
Oh, it's Christmas Eve in Ireland. So you really are speaking Gaelic. I was right. Your name is, one day, Dave, I want to go to Ireland and I want to literally walk around the entire country and stop at every distillery.
And then die.
No, you'll work out. You'll walk. And then go to every distillery.
By the third distillery, he ain't walking anywhere.
Yeah.
He's getting pushed.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Girls, everyone.
Thank you so much.